God bless football. Billy Gill.
God bless football, Mikey A.
God bless football, Stugotz.
We have arrived, thank you, Mikey A. We have arrived at a very, very crucial time of the season. We are starting to find out who's who.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it usually happens. Late November, early December, you start getting a feel for who is who. You know what I'm saying, Billy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We passed it. We passed the Thanksgiving threshold. By the way, God bless football is presented by Smirnoff. We do game days. Please drink responsibly. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. If you're interested in our thoughts on the Thursday night games, check us out on the podcast because we have a lot here on the TV side.
Right.
We have Mike Madden. We have Chris Sims. We have some Stugotz picks going on. We just basically too much football is going on. So you want to know our thoughts on the Thursday night Thanksgiving games? Go to the podcast. God bless football, wherever you get your podcasts.
I will tell you that we have John Madden's son on this episode. We're going to try to get one of those Madden cruisers from him. I think they have multiple cruisers in the Madden family. But it is not Thanksgiving unless you have, if you do a football show, and you do a football show this week, and we're headed into Thanksgiving, and you don't have someone with the last name Madden on your show.
Well, we passed Thanksgiving. It was yesterday.
That's true. But guess what? You didn't do a football show.
Yeah.
How about that?
I've heard that.
Yeah, there are a few staples for Thanksgiving, okay? Just a few.
Go.
Family.
Friends.
Football.
Football.
Turkey.
And
a Madden.
And a fantasy football league presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka. Please drink responsibly. You can compete against us. Go to dkng.co/Smirnoff. This is the week. We're thankful, and I'm thankful for you because you're all giving me your fantasy buy-in monies this week because I'm going to win this week.
Right. That was not one of the things I was thinking as a Thanksgiving tradition, but I understand.
You were setting it up so perfectly. You're saying family, football.
Right.
And then there was another F in there somewhere. I don't remember what it was. Friends, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was going to
Friends,
sneak in fantasy, but you said Madden first, and I couldn't sneak the fantasy in there.
Right.
Presented by Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka.
Oh, Smirnoff would be
New
another,
tradition.
of course, yes.
Yeah, Smirnoff.
New tradition.
Yeah.
Giving Billy your money.
Give it all to me.
You finished 5th from last place last week. I mean,
After a late push.
Oh, the late push got you.
Late push in the late windows there. I was rolling. Didn't push me quite far enough, but I was headed on my way there, yeah.
I'm starting to find out who the Green Bay Packers are.
Are you?
I think the Packers are one of those teams that a lot of people aren't thinking about that could make it and win. Not just make it, win the Super. Oh, it's all Detroit. It's all Philadelphia. No. I am telling you now, Billy.
Yeah.
Because it's another Thanksgiving staple. To tell people to watch out for the Packers.
Yeah, watch out for the Packers. If you want to know how the Packers did on Thursday night's game, check out our audio version of the podcast.
I wasn't supposed to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly right. Or the Lions, but that's fine. We can comment on the Lions and the Packers game on the podcast.
I really hope the Packers win that game. I mean,
well, it happened already, so we already know what happened.
Did they win?
Check out the podcast. We got into it there. Yeah.
Check out the podcast. You'll find out.
Exactly right.
Cliffhanger. I'm sorry. I did the thing you asked me not to do.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving side, I guess?
That's where you pivoted because you're so mad at me right now.
Favorite Thanksgiving side?
Smirnoff.
Okay.
I'm back.
I meant more food-wise.
Mikey, yours?
Stuffing.
Mikey's done a lot of cooking.
Really?
Yeah, for Thanksgiving.
I'm not a big...
a lot of the cooking.
Do you do it?
Big cooking guy.
No, I do some of the eating. Not even all the eating. It's Thanksgiving. It's okay.
You got to space it out. What do you mean? It's overrated? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said it's okay. It's okay. It's a great holiday. Not my favorite food holiday.
But no one says it's okay. It's like the greatest holiday of the year.
No, holiday-wise, it's great. Food-wise, it's okay.
It's a great holiday. That doesn't mean the food is like has to be this thing.
Yeah.
You know, family, friends, football, fantasy, Smirnoff.
Right.
And a Madden.
Yeah, and a Madden.
That's what it's
and a
all
Madden.
about.
Exactly. Mikey gets it.
And the Madden. What'd you cook this year? Turkey? Because
it's the only thing I didn't make.
So listen, that's on you for going traditional Thanksgiving. If you don't like the food, you can eat whatever you want on Thanksgiving.
Not how it works with
My
family.
dad made fillets one year. I mean,
fillets. Wow, another F. Yeah. Nothing says Thanksgiving like fillets.
And a flank steak.
Mm-hmm. Fillets, flank steak, family, friends, fantasy, and a Madden.
Little flan.
And a Sims.
Ooh,
next.
flan. What happened to you? We used to get you at home with that giant screen behind you. What happened to that?
He's working.
Yeah, I miss that screen.
I miss the screen too.
It fits better here. Like, I get done doing my pod. I figured it was easier than me. Like, at times I'd go home, rush home, have to get all that equipment turned on. This is more convenient this way.
I was listening to your pod from Sunday the other day, and I may be misrepresenting this, so if I am, tell me. But it seems like you haven't really actually been that high on Washington. You kind of feel like this is what you've been expecting to happen for some time now.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, I don't. I think Washington, I've been more pleasantly surprised by their football team rather than just like, oh, I'm super impressed. Of course, I'm impressed by Jaden Daniels and what he's doing there, and saw some early season wrinkles in the Cliff Kingsbury offense that I liked. But I do think we've gotten to a point here, one, where, okay, the talent isn't super awesome there. We know they're kind of rebuilding. And then two, on top of that, I'm starting to worry about, like we're seeing the last few weeks, they can't find completions past 5 and 6 yards down the football field. And this is the things that have happened in Cliff Kingsbury almost every year of his career coaching in the NFL. It's once people start to get a book or they see a defense defend them, they start to go, oh, they do this when they do that. So there's issues there. The talent at receiver, Terry McLaurin's real good, right? But I don't think he's superstar good. And then the rest of the cast is just solid. The running backs are beat up a little bit. The defense is not super talented. I will not be surprised if the Tennessee Titans upset them this week. That's what I would tell you. I think it's the Tennessee Titans D. I expect them to be all over Washington's offense. And the Titans offense has become maybe not consistent, but it's explosive. Every game we're seeing 4 or 5 wow plays. I actually picked the Titans to win in the upset.
So I have to apologize to the audience and to Chris and to Mikey and to Stugotz because I feel like I took it to football way too early. Like it's Thanksgiving week. We have lots to talk about. And I just jumped in with a question about the Commanders.
Well, I mean, Sims was ripping you and talking about working from home, and you wanted to get away from it. So you went to
he was ripping you, though.
Right. And Sims knows that. I mean,
He was ripping you because I got the line of, we don't know where Stugotz is. He's around the studio somewhere. We're trying to find him.
Yeah. So, Billy, you're upset with yourself for taking it to football. It's a football.
Seriously, Billy, what a meathead you are. You fucking care about people a little bit,
Way too quickly. Jeez. We haven't even gone around the table to say what we're thankful for. Chris, what are you thankful for on this show specifically? Who are we thankful for? Maybe whose name starts with the letter B, something like that.
No, I'm thankful for. I am thankful for you guys. I have a lot of fun on here every week. You guys team me up the right way. We have good conversations. I am. Yeah. I enjoy doing this. I really do. I like to complain about it every now and then or give you a hard time, but I do. Yes. I'm thankful for a lot of things. Life is good. I'm thankful for the college football playoff this year. That's good. I'm thankful that Texas A&M's back on a thing this weekend. That's going to be great. But life in general, I'm thankful for.
Now, we were very excited about the Sims Thanksgiving football game.
Yeah, but Phil's not going to be there.
I was going to say, I received some devastating news this morning from Stugotz. Yeah. That apparently your dad is a big shot and will not be present for this game.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like I didn't realize it either. He came over to my house last weekend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the game in Dallas." I think he's announcing it on the radio with Bob Papa and Carl Banks, so he's doing that. But yeah, I was disappointed. But I could tell you that he was not the slightest bit disappointed. He seemed very happy that he was going to be with us on Thanksgiving and that he was going to that game. So it was like one of those where he left. Like me and the wife were like, was it me or did he seem like he was really happy he wasn't going to be with us on Thanksgiving?
Christopher, I'm going to Dallas.
So, Chris, we spoke to John Madden's son yesterday, and he was telling us kind of like the same thing. We're like, so Thanksgiving must have been like weird and like Christmas, not have your dad. I was like, no. We didn't want Dad around. We knew that if Dad was around, it was going to be a bad time because he's going to be upset because his team was eliminated or whatever. Like, if we saw Dad on TV or Dad was missing on Thanksgiving or Christmas, we knew it was going to be a good day.
Yeah, well, there's some truth to that. I would rather have my dad there. I would, but I would say the house can maybe be a little looser and more fun without dad there, right? My mom won't feel the pressure a little bit, and maybe even my wife, because my wife does a lot of the cooking. And then, like, he'll also be like the drink police a little bit too. Ooh. Like, oh man, you're having another drink, huh? Oh, geez. Hey, Diana, how many drinks have you had so far? So it's all like, yeah, hey, Dad, off. It's Thanksgiving. I'm going to do what I want. Shut up.
Yeah, but he doesn't want you guys drinking and driving. He cares about you. I mean,
yeah, well, we're not going to be. So that doesn't matter. And, and then most of the time he's not there until the end of the night anyway. So then he's like playing police once he gets there.
Does he actually say stuff when he walks in, or is it just him standing over people and you could just feel his presence? Like,
no, he'll say stuff. He'll say like just kind of the things I've said just right there. He'd come in the house like usually because he was doing the CBS shows right the past few years. He come in, oh man, I'm exhausted. You sit on the couch. We've usually had maybe a Thanksgiving dinner already. He's just going to get like the leftovers depending on the year and the schedule and how it all shakes out. But yeah, that's Big Phil. That's the way he is.
And it's just a burden getting there. He's there. He's tired. Doesn't like the food.
Yeah. Once he's there, he's directing fucking traffic.
Everybody's boozing around him, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, Chris,
exactly.
Another?
Yeah, he doesn't have to go outside and play quarterback this year, so he's good.
So how does the game work? You're still going to play the game, right?
Oh yeah, we're hoping to still play the game. Like I always tell you, I just hope the rest of my family shows up before it gets dark. But yeah, I think we're going to get it done. The thing we're worried about a little tomorrow here in the Northeast is it's supposed to rain, like torrential downpour. So if it's like that, I don't know what.
But you'll play in that, right?
Oh, I would. I definitely.
No lightning.
I don't know.
Right, but the kids.
I don't.
The kids.
Yeah, exactly. As long as there's no lightning, that's football weather. I'm down for
bring
that.
A change of clothes.
I will. I just gotta have to bring a change of clothes. That's all I'll have to do.
What if it's pouring rain and the kids are like, "Hey, we don't want to go outside. We don't want to play football." What are you gonna say?
I'll listen. I don't think any of the psycho kids in our family are gonna say that. I think they're all gonna be like, "Yeah, let's go out and get muddy and." And go out there.
You're right.
So we're a full set, family of psychos that way.
Okay.
But if it does go that way, it'll probably be me playing knee football in the family room with all the kids, right? Where they all just like try to crush me and drive me into the ground, and some me versus the 6 nieces and nephews I have in a football game in the family room.
That seems like more fun for the kids. I'm just saying.
It might be. Yeah, they certainly like to take their shots on me. That's for sure.
PFT with Mike Florio every day on Peacock, the Unbuttoned podcast, Football Night in America as well. Chris, I thought Caleb Williams played his best game of the year last week. What did you think?
Yeah, I think he's put together a few good games here in a row, but certainly. Last week, yes, there was some impressive. Last week there was, and I say this about him a lot. Some jaw-dropping plays. Again, that's why I'm not giving up on Caleb Williams. I know you could argue Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix have looked better to him than him to this point, maybe more consistent. But I think we also know there's more issues there totality-wise in Chicago than there is in the other two places. But you see some of the plays he makes, whether it's some of the escapes out of the pocket. Again, he moves like he's a third down running back or a slot receiver with how he can shake and break people's ankles and do all that, let alone he made 3 or 4 throws in that game. Again, I would say only the greatest in the sport can do it. He is phenomenal that way. So, yeah, I certainly see a lot of positive with Caleb. And, it was a shame they lost last week. 2 heartbreakers in a row last week, or the last 2 weeks between the Vikings and the Packers.
What'd you make of the Vikings signing Daniel Jones?
I think that was a brilliant move by both parts there.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, well, I think this is – okay, the Vikings, Nick Mullins, I don't know if I'd put him in the trust tree to go, wow, if Sam Darnold goes down, well, we're good with Nick Mullins. I mean, we saw that last year. They weren't good with Nick Mullins.
Right.
So we know what that is. Daniel Jones is certainly an upgrade in that department. He gives himself some wiggle room as far as being on the practice squad if something else comes about. But the biggest thing for Daniel Jones, and I had a lot of people say, well, you can go somewhere and be a starter here. If he goes to some team and is a starter and looks like crap again, it might be the end of Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. He needs to go best placed, rehabilitate career, big picture. Who's going to set me up to get me back on the right track, coaching-wise, people around me, talent-wise, all of that. And I think Minnesota, Detroit, and San Francisco all made the most sense for Daniel Jones. I know they were all in the mix for Daniel Jones there as well, so I don't think he could have gotten wrong with either of those three, really.
I'm with you. He needs to do what Sam Darnold just did.
Exactly.
Yes.
People are like, well, why doesn't he go to the Vegas Raiders and become the starter? Why? So he can go get his ass beat and throw an interception and all the haters and go, look, why would they sign him? He sucks. What would they do that for? That does nobody any good. So, yeah, you got to do the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield type of thing. Whatever. Yep. Exactly right.
You know, the Vikings, it's so interesting with their I don't want to call it a problem at quarterback, but teams nowadays want to have the guy in the rookie contract. They drafted a rookie in J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold's played so well. You can tell O'Connell loves him, right? And so I'm like, how far does Sam have to go before the Vikings say to themselves, you know what? We got to bring him back next year. We can't let another team sign this guy that we developed and turn into a good quarterback.
I think it's got to be pretty far. I do. I think it's got to be, something like he started off the year playing really good football. He went through a stretch where we went, man, there's mistakes, there's sacks, there's holding the ball too long. The last 2 weeks has gotten a little bit better again. I do think they and he have to finish strong for that to happen, right? Again, it's a top 10 pick. They pick somebody they obviously believe in, and they think he's got, a great future. And I don't disagree with that. But I think that's also, somewhat of the beauty with Daniel Jones there. He can go, maybe they'll keep me. I stay here after the year. I'll be the backup to J.J. McCarthy. He's young. Who knows what happens next year? And maybe I get in there and I look good and I can rehabilitate my career. But I think Sam Darnold's going to have to knock it out of the park and maybe at least win one game, maybe win two for them to really put the pressure on a guy that we know in that region. Like everybody likes J.J. McCarthy. He's a Michigan guy. To supplant him, I think it'll take something like that, Stugotz.
Like the NFC Championship game. They make it'd be hard to turn your back on Darnold after that. Yeah.
Right. I think so.
Going to be interesting. What are you seeing out of C.J. Stroud this year that is different from last year?
Well, here's the biggest thing. First off, we all have to stop blaming C.J. Stroud. Every channel I turn on, it's C.J. Stroud, it's C.J. Stroud, it's C.J. Stroud, it's C.J. And I get it. It's not as good. But you heard me say last week, it's institutional there right now. He didn't go from being like some good decision maker who can dot the I from 70 yards away with his great right arm and accuracy, and all of a sudden like, I can't figure out how to throw the ball or find an open receiver. Hey, this just in. Nobody's fucking open. They can't protect. Yeah, there's issues. I mean, that's the biggest problem. Now, I know he isn't perfect, but I think it's more of a ripple effect of every time he drops back now, he's got people in his face. You guys have heard me explain the protection issues they have, not only schematically, but man-to-man on the interior part of their defense. And I think that's causing him to, am I going to have enough time? Let me throw the ball real quick. The first interception of the game last week was that. It was a real quick short route, but I think he was like, I got to get it out quick, and he threw it so quick the guy didn't break, and he led him the wrong direction. The other interception he had in the football game, I know it wasn't great, but again, he made a guy miss. He had a move in the pocket. He's about to get crushed, and he tried to loft the ball over the linebacker, and the linebacker made a good play. But it's offensively. They're not coaching him the right way. He doesn't know when and where he's protected because they run an offense that says, just let the center do it. He'll figure it out. What if the center doesn't figure it out? What if the center's wrong? So I think all those things, and C.J. Stroud's peeking over his back shoulder or whatever going, wait, who's coming free? I don't know where's where. Do I trust my center that he got this right? And if he did get it right, I don't know if we can block anyways. So I think there's a lot of things there in Houston, Stugotz.
Another interesting thing that's happened here over the last few weeks is Bryce Young has looked decent, Chris. Like there might be a future in Carolina for Bryce Young, which I think we wouldn't say that, 4 or 5 weeks ago. But the last 3 weeks, I don't want to say he's been great, but he's been good.
He's been good. Exactly right. He's a starting quarterback is what he's shown, right? Yes. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we were saying, 7 weeks ago, no way, he can't do it.
Right.
Again, I think you're seeing another evidence in you can bench a rookie quarterback and he can come back, or a young quarterback, just like Anthony Richardson,
right,
who's had good moments. You can do that. We got into this soft, sensitive moment or decade here of you can't hurt his feelings. We grew up in an era where Every quarterback got benched when they were young.
Yes.
Joe Montana, John Elway, Terry Bradshaw, Phil Simms, you fucking name it. They got benched.
Yep.
Troy Aikman. I mean, that's the way it was.
Not only did they get...
You'll get another chance. Go out and play again.
Not only did they get benched, they didn't have to be good right away. I mean, some of them just sat on the bench until they were ready. I mean...
Exactly. So it's not easy. And it's not easy when you are a Bryce Young. You go to a place like Carolina. One, you're not as good as maybe everybody touted you to be in the draft. And then two, you go to a team that's not very good at all. So like we always talk about, that's a tough situation. But he's just looking good. And hopefully this offseason now they can spend the money around him to make him look good. He to me, has to be in a Tua offense. It has to be that. That's where he's good. He's not stand in the pocket, throw lasers and rifles down the field. He is like, hey, get it out here, get it out here. Hey, move in the pocket, boom, over the middle. That's what he is. He's a point guard. He just gets the ball out to playmakers in space and lets them go. I think that's how they have to formulate that offense around him going forward.
I think the thing that's different about him, and it just kind of it doesn't really speak to him, but it speaks more towards like the disorganization of the Carolina Panthers is he's only starting because Andy Dalton got in a car accident.
Yeah.
Like they wrote him off and now he's back and he's doing well. And it just seems like they don't know what they're doing with him. And had Andy Dalton not crashed his car, he wouldn't have gotten this shot this season.
But I will say this, Billy and Chris, I wonder if you agree with this. I will say this. Yeah. Whatever they were doing with Bryce Young while Andy Dalton was starting, they did something because he looks like a more competent, more confident quarterback out on the field. So
yeah, it definitely does. And what they did behind the scenes, I don't know.
Right.
And Billy, I think at some point they would have gone back to Bryce Young no matter what. I think the Andy Dalton car accident and all that probably expedited the process, but they had to give him one more shot here. They had to see what he had.
Of course.
They couldn't go into the offseason going, we're not going to see him again. And then he'll be better next year. He will. Why will he be better? I don't know, because he will. No, they had to see some of this right here at some point, and I think it would have gone this way no matter what. And now I think he's done enough, and hopefully he can do enough here that it's starting to be positive, consistently good, like you're saying, Stugotz, to where, hopefully he can impress them to make sure he's the starting quarterback there next year and beyond that.
Well, they also have time with him, right? So, like, even if you don't think that this is the greatest quarterback class and you don't see your quarterback of the future, you have times before you have to sign him to his fifth year.
Of course.
So, like, you can just say, you know what? Let's give him another year, and then after next year, we really have to make a decision on him. Like, he could be good enough.
Oh, he's getting next year, though.
No, I know, but they're not a quarterback away. The Carolina Panthers are not quarterback away. So they can afford to have another year with him and see if it works out or not. And also, like, then you save yourself from going in that same loop of over and over again, just getting a quarterback. This is the guy they wanted. So this wouldn't be the situation. But where they're picking, they then have to settle for drafting a quarterback who they may not be in love with and then just do this all over again for no reason.
Yeah, no, build around if you believed in him and it's what you thought was the right thing to do. He's showing some positive signs. If he continues to show positive things here towards the end of the year and do all that, you stick with him. I'm so sick of the NFL and especially college football. It's just everything's on the quarterback all the time. I mean, again, like you said, they're not a quarterback away. They didn't look that much better with Andy Dalton. It wasn't like, oh, my gosh, look at them. They're world beaters now. Andy Dalton's in. Holy crap. Yep, I changed them. I mean, it was just a little bit better than it was with Bryce Young. And now Bryce Young's come in and shown you, build the team around him. Let's see where it goes. I mean, how many times how many guys on the NFL right now do we have that story? Oh, on crappy team, you didn't build the team around him, and now he's on new team that has a good team, and we go, oh, what did the last team do? Why did they do that? He's good. He's a starting quarterback. I mean, what is there, like 8 or 10 of those stories right now in the NFL?
Sounds like Sam Darnold. I mean,
right. Sounds like Baker Mayfield. Sounds like Geno Smith, right? I mean, we can just keep on going down the list. Right. Oh, Russell Wilson. Right. Yep. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Well,
no, but back to your earlier point, Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for like 2 years, man.
Yeah. I mean, again, sit, whatever, play, get benched, all of that. And if you're an NFL quarterback, you should be mentally tough to handle all those type of situations and succeed. And if you don't, then this just in. You ain't an NFL quarterback, so get your ass on the bench.
Sims, I feel like we were waiting every week for the 49ers to like show up and then be the team that they have been for years. And now we're looking at it. They're 5-6. They just came off like a really bad loss. Like, is this kind of who they are this year? Or is there still a switch that we might see?
No, we're at the time of the year is you are who you are. There's maybe there's a few teams where I'd go, maybe this team, like Denver, right? It was a rookie quarterback, some struggles earlier, but they're a little bit better than they are who they are, right? I think they're a team that's on the rise. The Green Bay Packers, they're 8-3. They're 8-3 with B- quarterback play to this point. They're a team where I see moments of at their best, like last week, where I go, ooh, that's as good as anybody in football. That's as good as Detroit or Philadelphia or whoever you want to mention and put in the conversation. No, the 49ers, I'm a little with you and Mikey A, that they are who they are. Right? I just think it's a myriad, a collage of things of like, hey, lots of long seasons, getting towards the top of Mount Everest and never getting the payoff. That's exhausting. And they've done it, 4 out of 5 years, 3 out of 4 years, kind of get there to that point, Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, and can't get over the hump. They're a physical football team that's played a lot of games over the last few years. The winning the Super Bowl, hey, that gives you a little payoff and energy in the offseason. When you lose it, and I know this is the case in San Francisco, they were devastated last year. It took them a long time to get over that. Then we went to Brandon Ayuk drama and all that kind of crap to go along with it in the offseason. And yeah, this is a year where Purdy's play has been a little bit all over the place. They haven't been able to run the ball. They have injuries everywhere. I know my man Shanahan's not going to make excuses, but when you're missing Javon Hargrave and Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga and Brandon Ayuk and other guys have been in and out of the lineup all year long, I don't care who you are. It's going to affect you. Yeah, they are who they are, Mikey A. You said it right. I don't expect them to win in Buffalo this weekend.
Chris, I'll tell you what, Purdy not being there last week and seeing how that team looked offensively made Purdy more valuable in my eyes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's something to that. That was a tough spot. I mean, a guy that's barely played ever in the NFL has to go up to Green Bay, who's super talented, who's sick of getting beat by the 49ers, right?
Right.
And so they were a motivated football team. That was a bad matchup. But, yeah, of course, if Purdy played last week, I certainly think that game would have been a whole different story and a lot more competitive than it was.
Is Saquon Barkley your MVP?
Well, it's Saquon, Lamar, or Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I'd probably still go Lamar right now, but it's close. Saquon before the year, I picked him to be Offensive Player of the Year. But he keeps doing what he's doing. And again,
I saw that smile. You're proud of that prediction, aren't you? I saw the smile on your face.
I'm proud of it. I'm proud of Saquon in general. I'm a huge Saquon fan,
I know
personally,
you are.
and as a player. Mm-hmm. And like I've said to you guys, I think I've said it to you guys, like Saquon Barkley's a first ballot Hall of Famer type talent. And he got stuck on a crap team at the start of his career. And now everybody's starting to see what he's capable of when he has a little support around him, which is like, oh, it's the best running back in football, and it's not close. That's what it is. He is special. So, yeah, it's amazing. And he's definitely in that conversation. And I don't think the stats are going to fall off a whole lot here as we go forward.
What do you make of Aaron saying he wants to stay with the Jets if he comes back next year?
Well, what options does he have? And, the shit has hit the fan 7 times there. So he's trying to, he doesn't want to piss off the fan base. If there's one place that I have him back, it might be the Jets. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' reputation around the league is not like, oh, we want Aaron and we want to deal with all that comes along with dealing with Aaron. No, negative ghostwriter. Right. So we'll see where this goes. It's going to be an interesting situation, whether they want him back, who they hire at head coach. And like I said, I think it's going to have to be a perfect situation somewhere else too. Like I've told you, I don't care who you talk to in the NFL. I mean, no matter what, if Aaron Rodgers comes up, everybody goes, man. Yeah. And everybody's got an Aaron Rodgers story right now. So his rep around the NFL is not really good. He might need Bill Belichick to come in and save him somewhere.
PFT with Mike Florio every day on Peacock, the Unbuttoned Podcast, Football Night in America. Chris, if I gave you the opportunity with the obvious goal of winning a Super Bowl to go coach one of these two teams, which team would you feel like would give you the better shot of winning the Super Bowl? The Eagles or the Lions?
Oh.
Because the Eagles are talented.
Go the Lions.
Oh, wow. I would take the
Eagles.
But
it's not easy there. That's, That's like you're making me pick one. It's just like, damn, you got to pick an emerald or a ruby. It's like,
right.
I think they're the two best teams in the game right now. They're a little different in that the Lions are schematically do a lot. Philadelphia is a little bit like we do a little, but we do it really good, and we're so damn good it doesn't matter. I mean, the runs you saw Saquon Barkley run last week, I mean, that's the run they run every play. They don't even change it up. I mean, that's where I try to – like Detroit's team is super talented. They're not as talented as Philadelphia, but their coaching and creativity make up for that. And I think that's where it is. And I'm not saying like Philadelphia is so much more talented than Detroit. We're talking close stuff here. But as I try to explain to people, and I said this on Football Night in America last week, right? Like Philadelphia, I don't know if people really realize it's arguably the two best tackles on any team in football. It's arguably the two best guards in any team in football. It's a top 10 quarterback. It's probably the best duo at receiver you're going to find in football. It's the best running back in football. It's the best D-line and bevy of pass rushers in football. And the secondary continues to get better and better. And, oh, yeah, the linebacker play ain't that bad either. That's how stacked the Eagles are. The Eagles, even like Devin McCourty, who does the show, he's like, man, the offense, because he studied them a little more last week, because it's simple, and it's not really like high-level quarterback play. And I was like, yeah, I know, I've been trying to tell everybody this type of stuff. They run like very limited plays. It's just they do it well, they execute, and when Hurts doesn't make a mistake, they're almost impossible to beat. And so, yeah, I'll take the Lions, but it's a close one.
Man.
Chris, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you ran into some angry Dolphins fans this week after you did a segment called Hot Tua, where you were praising Tua and you said how great Tua's looked over the past couple of weeks. And the reason that they were upset with you is honestly because you can never win with Dolphins fans. You personally can never win with Dolphins fans. But
Thank you for keeping it real there.
Yeah, yes. you were praising Tua, but
how dare you?
Well, this is the part where they had an issue with Chris Sims and what he said, Stugotz, is that he referred to him as my guy Tua. And they absolutely did not like the idea of Chris Sims referring to Tua as his guy after all these years of you not being Tua's guy.
I side with Dolphin fans now.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. I was saying it, and hey, he's doing a lot of positive things. I'm happy for him, as I've always told you. It's nothing against him. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't point out some of the flaws and the issues and whatever else at times. And I think they're pretty well justified and, damn, pretty fucking on the spot, Chris Sims. Way to go, Chris. So other than that, but yes, the way he's playing, dealing with the injury and having to readjust his play, I give him credit. And he does a lot of good things for their football team. Obviously, we see that. Right? So, yeah, I'm not going to hate on him that way. Right. They're playing good football. And he is a magician with the football, and he's a point guard and how he gets it out and all of that. Now, whether that can win when we really need to win in that style, we'll see here shortly. But, yeah, I was just trying to give a guy some love. And, hey, I am an ex-quarterback just like him. He is a lefty ex-quarterback just like me. We're lefties, so I don't know why it came out of my mouth, but I was just trying to say it in a friendly way and, shut up, Dolphin fans.
I believe that you said he's the best ball handler in the NFL.
He is. He's the best ball handler in the NFL. Right. And I give him a ton of credit for that. He is, because his attention to detail on play action fakes and the way he does certain things, it's as good as there is. There's nobody better in football, actually, in that department. And that's important in that offense. They're all looking for, hey, we just want to get one guy to take one wrong step so we can just, boom, thread the needle in there 5-6 yards down the field and then can run and make something happen. And he's really damn good at that.
It seems like the only issue was calling him your guy.
That's the only issue.
That
was the main issue.
The praise is fine, but did you see that
next time I'll slander him more.
Did you notice the loose connection Sims tried to make? Hey, we're both
left-handed.
Yeah, he's my guy.
Did you like my hot Tua? My line?
I did like it.
I caught that. Thought you were being a sneaky boy. Saying hot to Football Night in America.
Yeah, thank you.
Billy and I have been saying here, now Billy's going to get mad at me because maybe he did say this, but I've been saying it. The Lions, they should probably think about losing a game here. Like they're peaking too early, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. Like you're like that loss every now and then is always good for like recalibrate. We got to get back to business here. But you know what I really think it is? That was supposed to happen 3 weeks ago, and I think they still won against the Houston Texans, and it made them recalibrate, right?
Right.
That's the beauty of it. That's what good football teams do, though. They find a way to win a game when they didn't play their best, and now the coach can get on them and go, you guys played like look what you did, but you still won. That's the best of both worlds, and they rebounded from that, and I don't know. Just ride the wave. I feel like just ride the momentum, keep kicking ass, and keep building on this thing because you can get to a point here where you keep doing this, you're going to get teams in the playoffs. As soon as they get down, they're just going to be like, "Whoa, man, we can't overcome this." They're insurmountable. They're like a force to be reckoned with. And you could get teams believing that if you continue to win like they do win most weeks.
You nervous about Texas this weekend?
I am, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a tough place to play.
It's
the hardest place to play I ever played in my life.
Really?
Yeah, that's the loudest stadium on planet Earth, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yep, and it's, of course, they're going to be foaming at the mouth. They know what's at stake for Texas. Texas wins this game. We're in the college football playoff. It doesn't even matter what happens in the SEC championship game. They play some good defense, though, in A&M. And what I do worry about is Texas can't run the ball real well. And when, like Georgia basically played too deep and said, we don't think you can run the ball even if we play too deep. And then that took away passes down the field. And you're seeing teams do that to Texas a little here as of late. Just going, fine, we'll let you run for 3 and 4. We don't care. We're just not going to let Ewers throw the ball with these crazy Sarkisian passes down the field and all that. And it's made them look a little, less dominant, let's say, than they did earlier in the year.
But you like the playoff. Like, you like this expanded playoff.
I definitely like this expanded playoff. Yes. Cool. I mean, again, Georgia got left out last year. Georgia was the best team in American sports. There had to be something done. They lost one game in 3 years, and they didn't get to go play in the finals for college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
That was like the dumbest I ever saw in my life. So, at least we don't have that problem this year.
We can all agree. I know you cover Notre Dame. You're the network for Notre Dame, but they're in regardless, right? They could lose to USC. They're still getting in, right? The thing was built for Notre Dame. I mean,
I think so. It would, I don't know. That would be a bad loss if they lost to USC and then their other losses, Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
I just would say this: watch out for Notre Dame. Notre Dame's the team that I'd go.
I agree.
If there's a team that makes some waves in this college football playoff, like first off, go in there in the cold in the middle of December. If they get one of these Southern teams to come up there, and the way they play defense and run the ball, they're made for playoff cold weather football. Right, so that's where it could get really interesting, but I think they continue to get better, Notre Dame.
Just the fact that we could say, watch out for Notre Dame, and there are games on college campuses, like playoff games, that's a good thing.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing.
Well, it's always been an issue with me in college football. The warm weather team always has had the advantage in bowl season, right?
Right.
We never have, like, Florida has to go play Michigan in a bowl game where it's 20 degrees out. I'd go, well, I bet you that game would be a whole lot different than we're in the Outback Bowl down in Florida somewhere. Right. It's just, so that's going to change the dynamics of things. Again, I was at Texas. We played one game in Nebraska once, and I'm telling you, the whole team was their pants the whole week getting ready to play in a cold game in there. So that's a real thing, and now it's getting infused into college football, which I like.
Right. Have Clemson travel to Ohio State in December. See how that goes.
Exactly. Right. That's going to be a little bit of culture shock for them, no doubt.
Oh, man. All right, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. You can check him out, PFT with Mike Florio, every day on Peacock, the Unbuttoned podcast as well. Football Night in America. They have the Bills and Niners coming up this weekend on NBC. Enjoy Thanksgiving, man. I'm sorry Dad won't be
guys.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, always fun. I know Dad won't be there, but, I don't know. Text me on the day. I'll send you a picture maybe of, something silly, me playing football or drinky, smoky, something. I'll figure it out.
I always think the problem's on my end.
Why do you think that, Mike?
Because I use Zoom just frequently enough to know how to work it, but not frequently enough to where my software stays up to date.
I'm I'm glad we're promoting a video game today and a movie made about a video game, huh?
Yes, all the technological prowess from the family went into the video game, not our ability to Zoom.
Billy, you're excited. It's not Thanksgiving without a Madden, right? It's turkey and a Madden, right?
That's what I've always said, Mike, believe it or not. I walk around the house, I tell my family, I have 2 young daughters, I've raised them, and they say Happy Thanksgiving. I go, nope, not a Thanksgiving without a Madden. So, we have to turn on the Madden, we have to play a game or two. I beat them, obviously, because they're 3-1, but, it's just how it goes. You need Madden if you want Thanksgiving. So happy holidays to you, Mike.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mike, this is very exciting. It's in the game. Madden NFL is coming out on November 26th. It's on Amazon Prime. If I told you when this video game was created that many, 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 many years later, they'd be making a documentary film about a video game, you would have told me what?
Oh, well, I would have laughed for a while. Not sure when I would have stopped, but no, I would not have believed it. Dad started this thing with Trip Hawkins a number of years before it ever came to market. And as a matter of fact, it was originally a computer game before, when football video players only had Tecmo Bowl at their disposal. Dad and Trip were toiling away. And I'll never forget the day Dad came home with 2 floppy disks when floppies were actually floppy.
Right. Yes.
And he came home and we had an Apple II computer in the house. And Dad came home. Oh, you got to try out the game. You got to try it out. It's done. We're ready to go. And he was excited because, like I said, he'd put in several years, in this deal with nothing to see or nothing to show for it. So I wake up the next morning and I go, I'll give it a try because I was the kid that played electric football and did, Stratomatic, Lombardi, all the games. So I pop it in and or 2 discs, pop them in, and all we had at the time was a joystick with a single button on it. And so I'm sitting there and I got the manuals and I'm inputting the game. And I'm like, okay, it's John Madden football. Well, Dad always started with a run over left tackle. So let's just start with a fullback over left tackle, get the game started.
Of course,
so I got it all queued up. Takes me about 20 minutes to program the first play. And I hit, the X's or, and the O's, and I hit the button and the things start moving. And I try to come in off left tackle and I get drilled. It lasts about a second. So I take all of my gaming prowess at the time and I say, okay, hold on. Let me try this again. I go, okay, I want to be able to run the ball because passing just looked too difficult. So I'm like, okay, I want to run the ball. So let's program the defense. Let's get them the hell out of there. Let's give them, a prevent. Let's get the hell out of there. So now I'll have some room to operate. And then all I had is a joystick. So I'm like, I want to be able to move the tailback, maybe do a Marcus Allen in reverse field or something. So I want a pitch or a toss. So I find toss left and program it up. Again, another 20 minutes have gone by. Now I'm excited. I'm gonna be able to run and play this game. And I hit the button and the lights start blinking and play, and then boom, I get killed for like a 3-yard loss. And so I give up. I've put in 45 minutes in this thing. I've ran 2 plays. It's a loser. Dad, good luck to you. And so he catches me out on the driveway and he goes, did you try the game? Did you try it? And I go, Dad, your game is crap. And he's like, he was heartbroken. No, he was heartbroken. He was heartbroken because he had put in years to this.
Right.
What do you mean? I go, Dad, I set it up so I could have some success. I put him in a prevent defense and I run a toss to the left. And he goes, you can't run a toss against a prevent. He goes, you got Charles Haley up there on the thing coming. He's thinking sack. He goes, he's going to blow the thing up 4 yards deep in the backfield. And I go, well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And he goes, yeah, that's what should happen. He goes, the game's not crap. Your play calling is crap. Wow. So I'm like, wait, no, but prevent, no, prevent, you got Charles Haley, you got Reggie White, they're coming up field. They're going to run right into it every time. And so that was when I first realized, holy cow, you guys you're shooting for a higher level than the world was ready for at that time.
Mike, do you mind us asking, just for the audience and for me, Who is Tripp, and what role did he play in the development of this game?
So Tripp Hawkins was started Electronic Arts, and Tripp was a really smart guy. And Tripp graduated. He went to Harvard, and he was so smart upon coming in, they allowed him to make up his own major. He majored in games at Harvard.
What?
And Dad was Dad was always, Tripp's so smart they let him make up his own major. And so that was Tripp. And,
were you just impersonating your dad? I heard it in there. I heard something in there.
It comes and goes. I'm no Frank Caliendo, but it does sneak in from time to time.
So Tripp approached your dad about doing the video game?
Yeah. So now I was in. So it's fun to watch this documentary because if you ask me about the game, other than the story that I told, it was kind of, I was in college for myself, and Dad's taking train rides and things with Tripp, and he's, but we would talk all the time, and he would tell me about Tripp, and Tripp's really impressive, and so Tripp was going to stick with this thing, and Dad was going to stick with Tripp, and but Dad was, if you talk to anybody that worked with my dad in television or anybody that played for him, Dad was hard, Dad could be tough, and that's how, and he got results, but that was his MO. And so Tripp kept signing up for more train rides and kept working on this thing. And they stuck together and they stuck to it. And here we are today.
I don't like this Tripp. I respectfully do for what he did, but I feel like he's driving a wedge between you and your father. You and Tripp around the same age, both in college at the same time. He's there telling your dad all these great things. Your dad and him whispering sweet nothings into each other's ears. And then you come home, he's like, try out this game. And then you're like, this game's crap. And then he's like, you're crap. You don't know what you're talking about. You're no Tripp.
Well, bad play caller.
No, but who was right? Who the hell won the toss against Charles Haley on 3rd and 12?
I'm on your side, Mike.
Right?
Mike, Mike, you're right. Billy's on your side, just so we're clear. Okay?
No. Tripp was a few years older than me. So right. Tripp had me, so I was still still a kid, and Tripp was willing to. Tripp found a way to major in games at Harvard. So the proof is in the pudding.
Right. When you're that smart, you create your own major. Go ahead, Billy.
Mike, how crazy is it that as accomplished as your dad was, as known as he is in the football world, and still is, by the way, and respected for everything he's done for the game, a lot of people know him, and his legacy for a lot of people will be video games.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so he's kind of had four kind of different fames. The first was, he was the coach of the Oakland Raiders, won a Super Bowl, won 100 games in 10 years, youngest coach at the time. It was coaching against the likes of Don Shula, Chuck Noll. So when he retired from coaching, he thought, I got a resume. I can walk into a room. And then he gets tagged to do a Miller Lite commercial just a couple of years after retiring, or like a year right after. And then, so he thinks that he's toiled as a coach his whole life. And, I'm famous because I'm a great coach. And then, hey, you're the guy that busts through the paper. And he goes, you coached 20 years, 10 in the NFL, and you do one Miller Lite commercial, and that changes how you're known. So that was kind of a wake-up call for him. He loved the notoriety. He loved the Miller Lite relationship. And then there was a period, he used to have an apartment in New York City, and and we would talk all the time, and he would tell me, he goes, hey man, I'm getting like 9-year-old kids that are sticking their heads out of windows, and they go, hey Madden. And he goes, I think it's because of that video game. And so that one kind of surprised him like the Miller Lite one did. He goes, can you believe that there's going to be people that only know me because of this video game? And then kind of the fourth one, and it circled back to the first one, is when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. It kind of closed the circle and brought his coaching career and the great career that he had as a coach, brought that back out to the forefront. So he's kind of had 4 different fames.
Mike, you mentioned that it took a long time for your dad and Tripp to get the game going, to get it developed. What were some of the obstacles early on? Was it that your dad was a perfectionist? He didn't want his name tarnished by the game, correct?
No, he didn't. No, and so I was so when Tecmo Bowl comes out, I'm I'm a late teenager, early 20s, so I'm playing Tecmo Bowl, and I want to be Bo Jackson, I want to be Walter Payton and those things, and then Dad says, but when Tecmo Bowl was out, Dad and Trip were working as a computer game, and Dad wanted it's not football if there's not 22 players, and that was a sticking point. Because Tripp would tell him, he goes, the computers just aren't there. We can't get 22 players. Right. He goes, well, you call me back when you can, because I'm not going to put my name on 7-on-7. That's not football. And if it was going to be John Madden football, it was going to be football. It was going to be NFL, and it was going to be, and if you're dumb enough to run a toss against Charles Haley, you're going to get gold.
Mike, you mentioned Tecmo Bowl. Was there sort of a rivalry with Tecmo Bowl? Did you guys have a plan to sort of unseat them as the go-to football game?
No. The plan was, again, Dad really admired Tripp and his stick-to-itiveness. And like I said, Tripp wanted, you'll see in the documentary, Tripp thought it was going to be a computer. We're talking, 1989, 1990, maybe even in the early, mid 80s. And so the video game console, we were just coming off of Pong and Intellivision, Tecmo Bowl was cutting edge. So I don't even think they thought about that at least the level that Dad was just the football inspiration. So all that stuff is Tripp's problem. But Dad's like, here's it's 22 and here's how they got to react. And here's how it needs to behave from a football standpoint. Tripp, you go off and figure out the rest.
What was Thanksgiving week like in the Madden household? Because Thanksgiving, I feel like his hands were tied, and maybe you didn't see a lot of Dad on Thanksgiving. But what was it like around that time for the Maddens?
The greatest.
When you grow up in a football household, a couple of things. If Dad's home for Christmas, that's bad, because that means the Raiders aren't in the playoffs.
All right.
So if it's Christmas Eve and Dad's at work, that's good.
Right.
Dad's not there on Christmas morning, that's good. So we can, so we'll move.
A lot of children had different experiences with that dynamic, I would say.
Yes, and now let's just explain, Mike, to the audience. The season was shorter. The playoffs started in December back then.
Yes, exactly. The playoffs started in December. Dad's Super Bowl was January 8th, for crying out loud.
Right.
Yeah, so the Super Bowl, so everything was shorter back then. So even as a kid, you didn't want, Dad, we don't need Dad home at Christmas. We had one or two of those. And the presents, they weren't any bigger or nicer or anything else. Just we had a grumpy Santa Claus in the corner. But so Thanksgiving, kind of the same thing. A Thursday you're playing on a Sunday. He's working. He rolls in at 8, and his first plate of Thanksgiving food was leftovers. And that's just the way it was. And we watched the Detroit Lion game that day, or the Cowboy game, or both. And then as he became a broadcaster, when he was asked to do the Thanksgiving Day game, well, that's the national game. That's great. Dad's doing great. We don't need him. Kind of like Christmas. We don't need him around. He's doing great. So we would eat and we would watch. And the first time they did this, the John Madden Thanksgiving, my phone was blowing up. Everybody was saying, this must be hard for you. This must be, whatever. And it really wasn't, because I was with my mom and my wife, and we had a small, but it felt like a normal John Madden. He was on the TV all day, and that was it was actually kind of nice. It was nice to, it was normal for us.
The John Madden we grew up watching, we saw on television, not as a coach, but as a broadcaster in some of those commercials. How close was that to the John Madden you experienced as a son?
Completely different. Completely different. I mean, he, a lot of, the break through the paper guy, the boom and the whap and the doink guy, the guy putting his hands in the middle of a turducken. I mean, he created this kind of character, but it was all based in a brilliance. I mean, he was a brilliant coach. I mean, he was hired by Al Davis, 32 years old. Like I said, he's the highest regular season winning percentage of any coach, greater even regular season than Vince Lombardi. Lombardi passes him if you roll in the playoffs. So he was a really smart guy. So as a dad, I wasn't, I couldn't fool my dad. I could, I never called, I was maybe 50 before I called him the old man. And, so I was a teenager and I knew my dad was smarter than me and bigger than me. So we took, so a lot of that stuff came off the table. But he was just really smart, and he around the house, he didn't suffer fools, so, what are you doing? What are you talking like that for? Wise up. So, he was a dad like he was a coach, kind of like he was a teacher as a broadcaster.
Did you ever play your dad in Madden?
No. When it came out on the Sega Genesis, we sat in the same space and we all played it, but no. I don't know that if I've ever been asked that. I don't know. I don't remember ever playing him. I'm not sure that he ever took the controls.
Huh.
What's it like playing around him? He's like a backseat driver where he's critiquing like your play calling, telling you exactly why plays wouldn't work. Like,
you ripped him for the Haley call.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm wondering.
Can't run the toss.
Yes, he was very much a backseat driver. And then after that, I got into high school coaching. And he would games. And yeah, that was, and I'm a grown man at this point, coaching freshmen in high school. And he would my first 5 years, it's easy, man. When we're all sitting here in our living rooms, second guessing all these guys, it's easy. When you've got to spit out a play call, you got 25 seconds and you got a huddle of hopefully 11, sometimes 12, sometimes 10, 15-year-olds. It takes on it. It's a different deal. And then when you sit back with dad, he goes, "What are you doing running a bootleg off your own goal line?" He goes, "Jeez." And I'm like, "Dad, I got 2 pass plays.
It's high school.
The other one on first down, so that's all I got." He goes, "No, he goes, you don't bootleg off your own goal line. Come on."
He's right, Mike. He's right.
I figured it out. I stuck with the high school coaching about 20. I coached 21 seasons, so I stuck with it after that. I learned that no, you got to get out. You got to get out to the 20 before you call that bootleg.
Mike, what was the coolest thing in the Madden Cruiser?
The coolest thing in the Madden Cruiser.
Yeah. You had to take some nice trips in that thing, right?
Yeah. What were the off seasons like? You guys have a Madden Cruiser? Just you could go on a cross country trip or whatever to national parks or something?
Well, you had me until you said national parks. We still have
Billy. They go to Lambeau Field to the Madden
in the off season.
We go. No, we've done that. We've taken a few trips. But usually, so like I was coaching high school football, so my season would end, and I would need to get the heck out of town. So I would, wherever he was, I would fly and stay with him out on the road for a week or two. We'd go to places, Lambeau, back east, Dallas, and all that. He had 5 buses. Bus number 1 is at Canton, and it's Dad donated it, and it's in its original form. They took it back to the original paint. We don't know what happened to bus 2 and 3, and Dad used to trade them in.
What?
Oh, so then anyway, so we got bus 4.
Right.
He was getting ready to trade it in for bus 5, and my mom put her foot down. She goes, "Nope." She goes, "We're keeping this one." So Dad's like, "Well, wait a minute. That means I have to pay full price for mine." And my mom's like, "Hey, that's your problem. I'm keeping this bus." So for a long time, we had Mom's bus and Dad's bus, and those are bus 4 and 5, and 4. So buddies and I, to this day, after 9/11, we go down to Scottsdale and play golf. So we started taking the bus during 9/11, and we haven't stopped. So we do go on an annual bus trip, and then bus 5, Bill Belichick was just riding around Louisiana, bus 5 for a week. He's doing a thing that's going to air on Super Bowl. It's the Madden Cruiser and Bill Belichick's Bayou Adventure or some darn thing.
Mike, here's what I'm thinking. We're friends now. It's the holiday season, okay? I am thinking, and you just took the Madden Cruiser to Scottsdale, okay? We were just in Scottsdale. We did a live show at the DraftKings Sportsbook there. I played TPC Scottsdale. I am thinking me, you, Billy, Mikey A, we get on that Madden Cruiser, little road trip. What do you think?
Belichick, yeah.
I'm in. I got the bus, and I got the willingness to play golf. So I'm just trying to round out foursomes.
All right, I like this.
I'm in all your foursomes. It is time for this week's edition of Stugotz, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you want the full complement of picks, both college and NFL, you can get them on the audio version of this show, God Bless Football. Right now, just going to give you 3 NFL picks, and I'm on a heater. Week 13, NFL 4-3 a week ago. I am 53, 32, and 2 on the season. You get 3 picks right here on television. Again, if you want the rest, go to the audio version of God Bless Football. Texans minus 3.5 at the Jaguars. Jaguars are awful. Texans need the win. Buy it down to 3. Houston wins. They cover. The Texans by 10 points over the Jags. Bills minus 7. Take it on the 49ers. Buy it down to 6.5 and take Buffalo. Buffalo wins, and they cover Buffalo by 10 points at home. Broncos minus 5. Take it on the Browns. Browns, not very good. Broncos, good, and they need this victory. The Broncos win. They cover the Broncos by 14 points over Cleveland at home. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Those are the picks.